Well, since the arrival of this rather magnificent machine, I've had messages saying, do you think you're going to be able to set it up on your own? Good luck with having a go, and how on earth are you going to change the blade one-handed style? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Well, hello again and welcome back to my channel. Now, since the arrival of my rather magnificent Laguna 18 BX Bandsaw, I've actually had very little opportunity to be in here to try and get in, have a little play with it, try and get it set up how I'd like it. I don't know if you caught in the social media the other day, I had the honour and privilege of being invited to meet up with, let's say it, the best out there in the world of YouTube makers and content creators. So I had a fantastic time meeting all of those and really looking forward to the opportunity to meet up with them again. Anyway, enough of that. The question asks, can I set this up on my own, one-handed, also including a blade change? Now, it's got currently the 1/2 inch blade on it, and if you go back into my back catalogue of why I've got this, mainly for long grip cuts in hardwood, I do have a, very careful here, a 1 inch blade, a woodpecker's one. So the plan for today is to change the blade from the 1/2 inch to this one and then set it up to make some test cuts. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this camera in a little bit. I've got my iPad filming from my workbench that way, and I've got my old phone on the underside. So I'm going to go for it, see how we get on, and hopefully I will be able, excuse me, to do this. Now, I've actually got a list of jobs to do on it, or tasks I should say. I'm going to go about it. Now, this has come from a combination of the Laguna website, my instruction manual, and I watched a few of the Laguna tutorial videos as well, actually quite good. So if I follow this process, hopefully, fingers crossed, I won't have to get someone in to sort it out for me. So what do I actually need? Well, I've got a glove because I think I'm going to need it when it comes to changing over. Just got a screwdriver and an Allen key. So let me get this camera set up and then we're going to go for it and let's see how we get on. All right. Right, folks, step by step. Let's see if we can do this. First one is to loosen off the tension lever. Pretty straightforward, that one. Next one is open the upper door. So it's that way. There we go. And the magnetic guard. Now there's an issue with that, which I'll come to in a future video, which hopefully Laguna are going to have to resolve for me. Anyway, drop the lower guard. So underneath here, before you open the door, there's two little, that's it, and you drop them down. So drop the lower guards, open the lower door. So that's that one done. There we go. All good. Right. Oh, there's something called the baffle. You need to remove that. There's a joke there, but I'm not going to go with it. All right. Okay. So remove the throat insert. Oh, so that's that thing there. So I just need to get this wound up and out the way. That's enough of that. Tighten that back up. Screwdriver. Remove the throat insert. Okay, next step. Slide guides all the way back, top and bottom. So these, via this one here, need to go, oh, sorry, it's that way, all the way back. So they're well away from the blade. And then I also need to do that on the bottom. So there's two at the back there. And slide that all the way out. So we're on course here. side guards fully open. So if I slacken these off, comes in handy I think for later on. Open those guide bearings all the way out. Gives it more space for later. Just lightly tighten them back up. These are so much easier than having to use a spanner on my little bandsaw, my FedEx one. Right, so let's get that. Right, so they're done, all good. Right, it's like unclip the bracket under the table. Unclip the bracket under the table. Oh, this thing, yeah, okay, so this needs to loosen off. There we go. Just wondering what that meant then. Right, uncoil the blade teeth. Oh yeah, I've done that. Okay. Table slot first, top wheel, side slot, lower wheel. Okay, so I'm going to put my glove on for this bit. And here we go. Ooh. Right, that's all right. Part one done. All right, it was a lot. Well, I'm not going to curse myself. I was going to say a lot easier than what I thought. Okay, right then. So it's basically that, but in reverse to get the other one on, and then we're going to look at actually trying to set the thing up, but let's try and get the blade on first, eh? Right, here it is, the big fella. Right, let's get in there. It's on. Oh my God. Right. Part 1 done. Right. Now I've got to get the thing set up. Now, I honestly thought I'd be faffing around half an hour later to try and get that blade on, so I'm going to chalk that one off as beginner's luck, and hopefully in the future it'll be as good as that. Right, according to the instruction manual, the next thing is to check the blade tension. Now, fortunately, on these Laguna models, it's kind of, the guesswork's taken out of it for you because it's got an indicator here. Now, you adjust the blade tension here, and you can move it, but it's a bit tight while the tension's on. So actually I think probably a better way for me to do it is to take the tension arm off, make a couple of turns, adjust it up. Now I've just gone a little bit too far, it's just past the inch there, so if I bring that down and then just a couple of quarter turns there, and that's just, yeah, that's okay. So that's in the inch bracket. Now the other thing it says on the manual is to push against the blade. Now you don't want it touching against the frame, but that just seems to be about right. Okay, right, so that's that step done. So let's move on to adjusting the wheel. Now I've come up onto the step ladder here so I can see what I'm doing. The next stage is to check the actual tracking, so as to check that the blade itself is aligned correctly onto the wheels. Now what it tells you to do is to look through this window here and then to just manually move the wheel around and look at the blade to see that it's aligned in the center of the wheel. And again, a bit of beginner's luck. I think I've largely got away with it. He said there's two methods for adjusting it. Firstly, if you need to do a coarse adjustment, so it's quite out a bit, take the tension off and then with your hand, obviously with a glove on, actually manually adjust the blade so it goes a bit more center aligned. Put the tension back on and then check again. So that's looking pretty good. But if you need to make any fine adjustments, that's this knob at the back here. Now you unloosen it here. Get my hand round. So if you then need to make any adjustments to move the wheel forwards or backwards, if you turn it anti-clockwise, so towards you, that will move the blade forward along the wheel. Similarly, if you clockwise, then it'll move it towards the back of the wheel. And then once you're happy with it, you tighten that back up, and that's your tracking done. So on to the next stage. Doing all right so far. Right, the next step is to actually adjust the bearing guides, and this is one of the main reasons I went for a Laguna, because these style of ceramic guides and the adjustments seem so much more intuitive for a one-handed user, shall we say. It's because there's no faffing around with spanners or anything. So let's go through it, what it says. First thing it says you need to do is the thrust bearing. You need to push that through. This is all loosened off, so it's just, literally just touching the back of the blade, and then you can tighten that off here. Right. So that's just about fine. Okay, and then the next step is to move the bearing guides forward, so it's just on where the blade cuts in, so it's just in alignment with like the shallowest part of the blade. So let's get that there, that seems about right, and then I can lock that off using this. Okay, and then the final step is to bring these side bearings in, so they're just, according to the manufacturer, just touching the blade, both sides. That might go against what some others say, but with Laguna, that's what they say about these. So that's that for the top one. Really simple for me to do. Now I'm going to try and find an angle for me to film the bottom one. Easier said than done, but let's give it a go. Okay folks, apologies about the rain noise in the back. Well, it is the northwest of England and it rains here all the time. So the first job is to get the thrust bearing again just touching at the back of the blade, and there's two knobs here I can just about get through to. There we go. That tighten them up, and then you bring the whole of the mechanism forward. Same thing as before, just loosen that off a little bit more. You want to get that so it's just on the shallowest part of the blade. There we go. And then once that's in place, these are all tightened off. Tighten that one there. I think this one can actually be put on the other side, but if you need to move the bed to get it to 45, it gets in the way. Okay. And then finally is to move the bearing guides in on the side again, so they are just being introduced to the blade. So this one's obviously a bit more fiddly for me, but not doing too bad. Just hold that there. Oh, slight bit of movement, that's alright though, that's not too bad. Tighten that up. Just needs, that one there needs a little bit of tightening. I think we've got it. Wow, right, well I think that's the bearings done, so let's move on to the next part. Right then, and imagine the next two sensible steps are to check the blade is at 90 degrees to the bed, and also it's parallel. So I'm just going to pop this back in, because obviously I'm just literally not tightening that up, just putting it there, and then I'll pop this back on, and then let's have a look where we're at. Now, I don't really have a square that I trust at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my Trend digital angle finder and see what this comes up with. Right, that's saying 90.3 degrees, so it's 0.3 of a degree out, which means it needs to come a little bit towards me, so the bed needs to rise up a little bit that side. Now there is a bolt on this side here, if I just zoom in, that we can adjust that, so let's get onto that, and then literally it's minute, but I think if I'm going to do this properly, it's worth doing right. Alright, so let's get on to that. Well, according to my Trend digital angle finder, that's spot on now, which is great. Now, I think I'm almost done. I'm going to start closing up in a minute. There's probably just one more little job to do. The clearance plate thing has got some little grub fine adjustments, so I'm going to just adjust that up, get everything closed up. The fence seems to be okay, seems to be square to the blade, so then do a few test cuts. Don't want to curse myself or anything, but pretty happy with things how they've gone up to now. So. Okay, I think I've tuned it in reasonably well, okay, for a first attempt. I've got the measurement out, which is in inches and centimetres as well, so our American folk are finally waking up to the metric system. I bet they don't have centimetres on the ones over there. Right, let's give it a little test cut. I've got a piece of maple here. I've got it at 50 mil. Let's give it a try, see how we get on. Okay, let's have a little look. $48.45. 48.37. 48.50. So 48.45. Yeah, so fractions of a millimetre there. Need to work on my push stick technique. Wasn't quite sure on that. So that's, but yeah, as a first attempt, I've got to be happy with that, haven't I? So, wow. Okay, I need to sit down. Right, folks, I'm going to class that as a very successful morning indeed, which appears to have thrown up more answers than questions. So, can I change the blade on a Laguna Bandsaw just using one hand? Yes, I can. Can I actually set this machine up single-handedly, pardon the pun? Well, it appears that I actually can, and I'm as shocked as anyone who actually might be watching this video. I am delighted with how this morning has gone. The minimum I was probably expecting asking Pam to come in and hold something in place, which he didn't have to do. And probably the worst case scenario was asking a professional to come in and sort it out for me. Neither of those had to happen, and I'm delighted with how I've managed to get this set up. I just need to move the measure just a tiny bit just to get that aligned right. But wow. I'm really, really happy with it. If there are any things you spotted that you think I could have done a little bit more efficiently or slightly better, then obviously please let me know in the comments. And if you've made it this far, I think, am I within my rights to ask you to give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to the channel? Please do so. If you'd like to support the channel with a one-off donation, then I've got a link there to a Buy Me a Coffee, which is also in the description. Also, if you'd like to head over to my website, which is hand-i-craft.com, we have a members section there, similar to the likes of maybe Patreon or YouTube membership, but I'm actually doing it my own way on my website. So if you'd like to subscribe to the members section, then please head over to my website and you'll get to see some of the behind the scenes things that go on, including my decision process for actually picking this machine and it getting delivered in a little bit more detail. So as ever, folks, thanks very much for your support. Take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.